RedZoneSports.bet, the British home of American sports.
Hi guys, and welcome to the SportsHeads NBA edition, sponsored by RedZoneSports.bet. My name is Tori, and I am accompanied by my lovely co-stars, Steve.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, thank you. And Nick.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Have I caught a tan? Definitely haven't in like 48 hours. So guys, we are here for our weekly review show. So I will start straight off. Guys, Raptors. They seem to be like the underdog. They're coming through. Is this something to get excited about? Obviously, we're still at the start, but...
You want to take? Or I'm a believer in the Raptors. I think they're a very good team. They've been a good team for quite a few years now. They're one of those teams that, you know, the core has been together for, going on 3 or 4 seasons. So, no, I think this team's going to be there, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the East come the end. They're deep, they're talented, and they can score.
I really like them. I mean, Coach Casey, for me, is one of the best coaches in the NBA, and they've got, for me, they do a lot of things right. You've got Lowry, you've got DeRozan. I think the one thing they do need to sort out over the course of a season, though, is what they're going to do with Valanciunas and Ibaka, because I don't think they necessarily mesh well together. Ibaka's much better at the 5 when they maybe go a bit of small ball. I think that works out much better for them. I think the other interesting thing as well is the fact that Casey's put a lot of emphasis on his bench at this point in the season, and these young guys have just taken the balls by the horn, and they are really enjoying the fact that everyone has confidence in them, playing with enthusiasm, a lot of energy. I mean, we played them the other night and they outscored the opposition 39-14 in a very short space of time. I think this is going to be great for them going forward. I think they're playing a full 12-man rotation as well. It's going to be interesting to see when they get to the playoffs what they do then, because the deeper bench at that point doesn't come into play. Right. So they're going to have to again rely on their stars, but the stars will obviously benefit from the fact that they may have had less playing time during the regular season.
Seems like they've changed their mindset rather than the roster as such.
I think so. I think that this is definitely one thing they've done. I mean, they've always been like on the cusp. I think for me, they're kind of like the Wizards. You're waiting for them to go like the next step, but they haven't taken it yet. So they've got to do that this season.
I'd put them very similar to the Wizards. Got that core, especially the guards, and kind of building around that. And yeah, I don't know. I just think, have we seen the best of Toronto? Maybe going back like last season and stuff. I don't know. I think they're, thinking out loud now, I think they're stronger than they were last year. So for me, they're definitely going to be there at the end. Top 3 seed worse, I'd say, in the East.
But I think for me, although they'll be a top 3 seed, I think you will probably put them as one of the teams most likely to be upset in the first round of the playoffs. That's the problem with them. Is that they can look very good in the regular season, but are they battle tested to be able to win a playoff series? And I think that's the other issue with them going forward. Yeah. I would have them as an upset. Depending obviously who they play.
Exactly.
But I would always look at that matchup and think, yeah, that looks a little bit dodgy on paper.
Fair point.
So also coming off from a 42-win season, we're looking at a 9-9 this season. Bucks, they have a right to be relatively frustrated. Giannis obviously showed that the other day on court. You could see that his frustration was brewing. He took it out on an innocent little chair. You could see
an assistant coach
Sweeney. Yeah, he obviously made a point of this and got put in his box relatively quickly by a rather frustrated Tower.
Well, I think this is a good thing. I think they should be frustrated. They're they're a good team. They're an up-and-coming team and a hungry team, and especially adding Bledsoe. I think maybe they're not progressing as quick as they would hope, but I mean, for me, if I'm a fan of the Bucks, this is what I want to see. I want to see passion, and apparently Sweeney and Jonas have someone I have read a quote that there's no better relationship between coach and player, assistant coach and player, than those two. So they're extremely close. So if that's the case, I think you argue with the ones you love and closest to anyway.
I think so as well. I mean, I think again it's one of those things that's been taken way out of context and everything else. Sure, it's something to monitor as the season goes along and just see how the Bucks perform. Definite frustration setting in there because it seems like they should be taking the leap, and yet they're back to being a 50-50 team still. So they're not really going forward. I think the other thing is with this for me is the fact that the Bucks are actually becoming quite poor defensively. They've got a lot of these guys that should be able to defend the passing lanes, should be able to break up offensive schemes that other teams are putting in there. and they're not doing it. They are chasing the ball left, right and centre. They're giving up open shots. They're giving up open layups. This is a team that over the long haul of a season is getting found out very, very quickly. This for me is not a team that's going to take the next step. I would actually say give it another 20 games, and if this team is still around about 50-50, I would be a bit concerned about Jason Kidd, because I think he's not the best coach in the world as far as I'm concerned. And for me, if they're going to go forward, they might need to look into a completely different direction and move away from Jason Kidd. I think they need a much more defensively minded head coach on this team.
I think that's fair, especially with what they have. They're set for that. So, yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. I hope they turn around. I like Jason Kidd. I like the Bucks. So I hope, but I'll give you that. In 20 games, if they're still around that mark, I mean, something's got to change, right?
Yeah, but it is, because I mean, okay, there could be a team very well that you have in that 7th or 8th spot. And I talked about this before, like the teams at the top of the bracket, they're not going to want to face the Bucks. You want to go against Giannis in the first round playoff series? I know I wouldn't want to do that.
Not.
That's like the equivalent of like a mid-80s Celtics going against Michael Jordan. Not to that extent, but you can see where the comparison is. And they've got to be better than that. Bledsoe was supposed to be the guy they brought in to take some of the pressure off of Giannis. But yeah, offensively they look good. Giannis is obviously playing at a very high level, 28 and 10, but they're not defending. That's something they're not doing, and they've got to get that right, and they've got to get it right soon.
Bledsoe was never the guy to come in to be a defender. So maybe there's something in that.
But he is a two-way player. He should be able to help you out from that respect. So. And there are other guys there, like Brogdon. I mean, he's a guy that they moved to the second unit to try and help him along. He looks like he's taken a step backwards. So I mean, okay, sophomore season is always something to worry about. But at the end of the day, I think this is wrong at the top in terms of the coach. Given 20 games, as I say, maybe it's because I'm not the biggest Jason Kidd fan in the world, but they really should be performing much better than this. If they are 20 and 20 after 40 games, I would be worried.
As would I.
There we go. So moving on to Ben Simmons. Obviously there's been a bit of a hype around him at the moment. He is leading all rookies, scoring an average of 18.5 points per game, 9.1 rebounds, 7.7 assists and 2.1 steals, improving every game. He also set an NBA tongue twister free throw record on Wednesday's game against the Wizards. 24 attempts in the fourth quarter, making only 12. But
didn't notice that.
There you go.
That's huge.
Yeah, the guy can't shoot a free throw, but he does pretty much everything else right. I think this is the problem for me with the NBA as a whole in some respects, is the fact that we're always looking for that next big thing. So like when LeBron came in, they first of all compared him to MJ, and then rightfully so then compared him to Magic. Kobe was compared to MJ. Now all of a sudden LeBron's at the latter stage of his career. We want to try and find that next LeBron, and obviously Ben Simmons may look like that guy, but he's come out and said, for him to be compared to LeBron, it's almost a bit of an insult to LeBron, the fact that he's being compared to a rookie. And I completely agree with that. He's trying to keep his feet firmly on the ground. Yeah, he's going to be one of these guys that's going to lead this Sixers team. I mean, him and Joel Embiid look like he could be a great tandem going forward for many, many years. But can we stop talking about Ben Simmons? They played, 20 games in the NBA?
That's it. That's where I was going to go, actually. I love the guy. I think you can see the talent, you can see what he does, but it is 20 games. And
someone to be excited for and look forward to the future type thing. But
and also, I give him, he's not your typical rookie because he was missed all of last year. So they say he's had a year to acclimatize to, traveling, living, money, all that kind of stuff. So he's further along in the process than other rookies. But I mean, the talent is there. The guy is a very, very good player.
Proved himself.
Proved improving himself. Every
yeah,
day.
exactly.
Yeah,
and I think he's quite a humble character from that point of view as well. That he's aware that he's going to make mistakes, and he said that he's like, I try and practice a lot of things in practice, so that if I make mistakes, I have no worries that I'm going to go into that game and be able to improve.
And no worries, he's Australian. He didn't even pick up the game until quite late. I mean, so I don't know how long he's been playing, but I think it was like 13, 14 when he first started playing, which is 7, 8, 9 years, which is quite scary.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a guy that's developed very, very quickly, and maybe that's part of the reason why we have quite high expectations for him. And I think we kind of just need to kind of just bring those down just a bit. It's exciting times, and I know for a fact, Sixers fans have been crying out for success for a while now, and for them to be able to have a guy like Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid and the rest of those guys on that team looks like they're going to be a playoff team this year for certain.
Yeah.
They're going to make some noise, potentially need some confidence over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So I think I can understand the reasons why it's happening, but we kind of just need to stop this. And we always seem as though we're searching for like the next big thing. And
I think that's just natural human nature, though, isn't it? Like we want that star player.
Yeah, but it happens in sports all the time. And I'm with you. I mean, mention Lonzo Ball, but the same thing with him. Sometimes you have to let the guys be themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and they always say, I'm not going to be the next LeBron. I'll be the first Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly. But then
that's what LeBron
say.
came out and said as well. He was like, I don't think it's fair to be putting that on Ben. Like Ben is Ben.
Yeah.
I am LeBron. Like
and let's face it.
Potential.
Let's face it. LeBron's averaging 28, 8, and 8 in his 15th NBA season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think Ben Simmons will be the scorer and the force that LeBron is. He's going to be more. He's an all-around guy.
He's going to be a very again. I think if you're going to say anything about this, I think Ben Simmons is more of a Magic Johnson than he is a LeBron James.
Magic was very much. But I was going to say.
No, I mean not to compare, but if you're going to look at those players, Magic was more of a facilitator. Right. Yeah, he could score. We saw him in the NBA Finals play center one time because it was needed. Yeah. That was the kind of guy he was, but Magic was very much more of a pass-first player in part of the Lakers Showtime. LeBron is very much more around at times. I'm not saying he's like it all the time because he does have his issues in the clutch. But I think Ben Simmons is going to be more of a facilitator. Yeah, I think he can take over the game as maturity levels go up. But LeBron had to be the go-to guy in Cleveland from the moment that he was drafted. Ben Simmons hasn't had to be that guy. Sure. Ben Simmons has other guys around him, like Joel Embiid.
Yeah. And they're coming up as a team, where LeBron was coming up as LeBron.
Yeah, and this is it. He had to basically drag other players kicking and screaming to an NBA Finals. Yeah. Ben Simmons probably won't have to do that because he has other talent around him. Yeah. Magic didn't have to do that.
That's right.
He was the leader of that team, don't get me wrong, but I mean, the supporting cast the Lakers had was just phenomenal. Yeah. So compare him to Magic, but just don't do it yet.
But also, just while we're touching on LeBron, I just want to bring up the ejection. First time, we'll just do it really quickly. Yeah. Obviously, first time in his career. It did look a little bit like somebody was maybe a little bit whiny, but I'll let you guys touch on this one first.
He's whiny.
I'm going to say that. I mean, I had a look at the comments that were made, and he came across the referee as a whiny 5-year-old. And it was just completely ridiculous. He's like, he swung at me. Then he did this and he did that, and then he was really, really, really mean to me. And it was exactly like that, and it just came across really, really whiny. Well, it does match MJ, because I think MJ was ejected once in his career as well. I seem to remember in a Bulls uniform. So, well, LeBron's ticked that box as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't happened for being his 15th season. You'd think. I mean, he's a physical player.
Absolutely.
And guys don't like it. I mean, whoever's the top guy, you don't. So I'm surprised there hasn't been someone getting in his face and do an argument, push and shove in, and they both get ejected. I'm very surprised this was his first ejection. Which, again, credit to him. I don't like the guy, but I keep giving him credit. He deserves it.
For me, he was a tick in the box.
Tick in the box. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the ref. I don't know how small he was, but he looked pretty small. He looked like my height, and I'm 5'4".
Yeah.
So I'm
in heels. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Size has got nothing to do with it.
It can be intimidating walking down the streets of London when everybody is cowering above you and I'm looking at people's knees.
Yeah, but I stood next to LeBron. Yes, he is big, but at the end of the day, you are a referee.
Everyone's big.
Everyone's going to be bigger around you. You've got to expect that.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
I think it's like wrestling. Higher, smaller.
Maybe he just was not. He was just not prepared. And he had a little freak and thought, I need to get this guy away from me.
I'm not blaming the ref in this.
No, it's just, I just think some of the post comments and the justification for doing it.
Correct. He would have probably been better just to keep his mouth shut.
I think that's probably the best way.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Bless him. Right, so moving back on. So, rumour has it, DeAndre Jordan, possible trade rumours with Cavs, Tristan Thompson. Yeah. But there's also obviously a lot going on at the Clippers. Blake Griffin's injury.
Or not going on,
yeah, exactly. Blake Griffin's injury the other day. We watched that earlier. Again, watched a recap, and I mean, it makes me cringe a little bit just thinking about that. We've also got Beverly out for the rest of the season, so Clippers is not looking too great.
No.
DeAndre came out yesterday and said that he plans on being there to support the team, but as you're aware,
yeah,
he needs to say that.
I mean, DeAndre's come out and said basically that he's bought in. Is kind of the phrase you want to throw around for that now. Is the fact that he is all Clippers. But at the end of the day, he's not going to have the choice or not whether he's going to be traded. I mean, I thought the Clippers should have blown it up in the summer. They should have let go Chris Paul. They should have let go Blake Griffin. Just literally just move on. That era of Clippers basketball just needed to end.
Yeah.
You know, and DeAndre Jordan has a player option at the end of this season, which you have to think he's not going to take up. He's going to become a free agent, and that's the reason why the Clippers do want to tie him up. But for this season, you've got a really good opportunity now. I think is move DeAndre. If you can get that pick that the Cavs have got, that Brooklyn pick, then I think that's a good thing going forward as part of your rebuild. Yeah, okay, you've now got Blake Griffin, going forward with the contract that he signed, but build around Blake, build around this potential pick, whatever this might turn into. Then try and put together that other supporting cast. DeAndre's not playing well in LA at the moment. To me, I think he looks disinterested and actually wants to get out. He may be saying one thing with his mouth, but his on-court actions say completely different. Yeah, I mean, he is not looking like the DeAndre Jordan that we know.
I don't think. I mean, he probably didn't want to be there last year either. Remember they had the whole where he was going to sign. But I mean, for me, I think this is the end of the Clippers. I think it's a no-brainer that he's going to be traded. He has to be. I mean, they're going nowhere. They're going backwards this season. He's going to leave. They're going to get nothing for him. So for me, I would be extremely surprised if Jordan's not a Cav by February.
Well, even if he's not a Cav, at least get him elsewhere. I mean, I think Cavs is a big thing for him. I mean, if you put DeAndre Jordan in that scenario with Kevin Love and everything else you've got there, I mean, Kevin Love seems he's been rejuvenated. I mean, DeAndre Jordan will literally be brought in to rebound, block shots, and provide very little offense. So he actually fits into that.
Gets to go to the finals, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a great scenario for him. I think it's a win-win situation on the other side of it for the Clippers as well. Yeah. You don't very often get trades that are very much win-win for both sides, but I think this could potentially be one of them. For me, why is it taking so long? Get it done.
I was looking at that pick though. I mean, the Nets aren't playing as bad as everyone thought. So like the pick now is like it's not a 1, 2, 3. It's more going to probably be a 4, 5, 6, which is still great.
Yeah.
But it's not. I think it's lost a bit of value, depending on what the Nets do for the rest of the season, of course. But if you can get anything back right now for Jordan, which sounds bad because I love DeAndre. He's a great player, and 99% of the teams would want him. I don't know who really wouldn't, but the Clippers are done. I'm never picking them again in our thing. They're done. They're done. They're done.
But the thing is as well, I mean, with the Cavs, is the fact that Tristan Thompson for me has always been kind of like the prodigal son almost.
Yeah.
Is he, the guy that you he's a part of it, but we don't want him to be a part of it.
He does his role.
But that's it. But he doesn't seem. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting the wrong impression. I mean, he is valued. Don't get me wrong. But you know what I mean? It's almost like he's on the outside of everything else.
Looking in, yeah, he's very quiet, isn't he? And I know exactly what you mean.
I think that would always be the case with maybe those kind of characters in the Cavs, though. Like, it's quite easy to be a little bit more. Exactly. Yeah. So maybe that could be a good opportunity for him too. If
J.R. Smith's accepted and Tristan Thompson's not, we live in a very strange world.
Yeah, that's true. I do love J.R. Smith though.
I was just touching on the Cavs.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose. Obviously, he's contemplating his future NBA career at the moment.
Sorry. I jumped in there.
That's fine. You jump in all you want. He has had the most substantial list of injuries over the last couple of years. I mean, just looking at it, you can see that it's
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Bless him. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily to do with his ability, but his basketball ability or his soul's desire, but his body is just not keeping up with him. So, I mean, he has the potential of losing an $80 million contract should he decide to end.
I was curious, we haven't discussed it. I purposely didn't want to ask because I want to see what you thought about it.
I mean, obviously, like I touched on this on last week's show about the fact, Derrick Rose and how bad he's performing this season for the Cavs, but he has had these ton of injuries. I mean, as a Bulls fan, I'll try and take that out of it for the moment because I've got a lot of things about how he spent his time with the Bulls. But Derrick Rose going forward, I think the sad thing is his NBA career finished a long time ago. He hasn't been able to perform. He wants to be able, surely, to be able to be the Derrick Rose of old, which we know he can't be. I mean, it's going to be one of those big things for me. It's like, is the what if? We look at guys like Penny Hardaway, Stephon Marbury, and guys like that. this is going to be like the next one we add to that list. So for me, I don't know if Rose is going to actually retire. I don't see a future for him on the Cavs. They've got to, and they're going to move on from him anyway. I mean, my gut feeling was they were going to waive him anyway when Thomas was back. So I think he needs to maybe look at China. I mean, China was very good for Marbury.
Yeah.
Maybe look at going there. And I think, he's very popular overseas. He's very, very marketable.
Yeah.
He says a lot of the right things as long as his brother's not involved. And I think that, for me, would be the next move for him, because Cleveland don't need him on the court. As I said last week, he is a detriment to them on the court. They're 12 points a game worse off when he is out there. There's only 7 players in the NBA that are worse defensively than he is. That's awful. That's when he's healthy.
That's a stat. Yeah.
That's when he's healthy.
Yeah.
426 out of 433 players in the NBA that they rate defensively.
Yeah.
I think I could go out there with a reconstructed wrist and maybe
Steve,
do a little bit.
No.
I threw the ball around a bit earlier.
Yeah. I heard the squeals.
The clickety clack.
That's it. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely about the China thing. Actually, I was reading something as recent. I think it was 2014. He was among the top international selling jerseys, highest selling still.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. It's sad. It makes me sad. Really does. I love Derrick Rose, and when he was on the Knicks last year, I was impressed with actually how well he played offensively, what he still could do. And it's funny. I actually thought Cleveland was the one team that probably he would stay with, because they have everything else. But as soon as you were saying the China thing, I completely agree with you, and that is the way for him to go. It's really sad, because it's not only the injuries. He's off the court. I mean, he had the trouble with the law that really wasn't his fault. Whatever. But he's just had a really bad stretch, and you can only feel bad for the guy.
But the thing is, as much as you think that he wouldn't walk away from the Cavs, the scenario wasn't a good one for him. At the end of the day, Derrick Rose performs much better when the ball is in his hands.
True.
So you're going to a team where the ball tends to go through LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Rose is not the guy to play off and be able to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
He's got a horrendous three-point shot.
Yeah.
General shooting isn't great. He can't drive like he used to, which was a main part of his game. So you're going to have to put him on if you put him on the second unit, that's fine. For me, reuniting with his old friend Kyle Korver, that would have worked well to a point. But the problem is now is that Rose hasn't got the ability to be able to blow people away and find the open shooter anymore. So for me, it really was an awful scenario, and one I didn't understand.
No,
but
I
it could
differ.
potentially work. It was, again, it was a low risk, high reward situation, because they signed to a minimum contract. So at the end of the day, if it goes bad, so what?
Yeah,
but
no, it's true.
In actual fact, it's not only gone bad; it's gone worse than that.
No,
so,
but I did think he would fit in. He wouldn't have to do as much. He's close to Chicago, all those reasons. I thought he would fit in, and I'm just sad. Feel bad for him. I do.
Yeah, every Bulls fan wanted to throw up.
Well,
First of all, we went to the Knicks and went to the Cavs.
That's the only part I liked, that it hurt the Bulls.
Every single Bulls fan.
And as you said, the 80 million, he'll get that in China. He'll get that elsewhere.
Yeah, I think as well when it comes to that kind of. This is me talking, but it becomes more than the money, because he'd be damaging a lot more by staying around.
That's right.
Moving on to the Grizzlies, after an 8th straight loss on Sunday. On Monday came and
came and went.
Fizdale went.
Yeah.
Do we think that this was too soon? Do we think that was the right decision?
Sorry, it was quite soon, but he came into the team last year. They've changed that team from last year. It was like 7-12. I don't think it was too soon. I really don't, because he was brought in to handle this team. That team's now been taken away from him, no fault of his own.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much got a new team, and they're not winning. And who's to say? There's an owner. It's 7-12. It's not the worst record. I personally would have kept him a little longer, maybe, but that's not my decision. So anytime a coach is fired, I don't think that's a bad thing. The team needs a new direction, and rather do it now than 2 months from now when you're 10-30 or something.
No, but it wasn't his team. If you're that's the whole issue with this. This isn't his team. Ben McLemore was injured. Mike Conley was injured.
Yeah.
Other multiple injuries. This for me is the fact that he's been used as a scapegoat for this. They turned around and said they didn't think that they could see winning going forward. No, you're right. You can't see winning going forward because you haven't got the players going forward.
Well,
Marc Gasol was taken out.
That was part of
he was benched.
Do we
I'm
think
sorry.
that was part of the decision making?
Well, yeah. So I think
Yeah,
this is they turned around and said no, it wasn't the sole reason. Marc Gasol was obviously very vocal about it. We've seen him multiple times. I mean, I'd say I bring up a scenario that we were talking about going out there. Phil Jackson benched Michael Jordan, 3 other starters in Game 6 of the NBA Finals in 1992 when they were down by 15 points. He put Pippen out there and 4 reserves. They come back and won that game. The bench brought them back. Sometimes you look at a different scenario and want to give something a go. And that's what Fizdale turned around and said, I think. He said he wanted to have another look at some of the other guys, because at the end of the day, he's had to rely on them anyway.
Was that the right time to do it?
No, it was the right time to do it, absolutely the right time to do it. Gasol was sat down. It was a game that they probably weren't going to win anyway, so why not just get him out of there and go and literally just go on? Yeah, it's not great. To be honest with you, I'm completely in agreement with every coach that's spoken out about this, most of the NBA fraternity that have come out and said about this. This is an absolutely awful decision. Fizdale is one of the best coaches in the NBA, and you've literally just fired him. Think about it from a Celtics point of view. They lose Gordon Hayward, lose Kyrie Irving, go on a massive losing streak. I bet you Danny Ainge does not fire Brad Stevens.
Well, but they didn't go on the losing streak, so they won the game.
No, I'm just saying. Same scenario.
Yeah, but...
Do you think Ainge would have fired Brad Stevens?
No, because I think that's a different team.
Exactly, thank you.
A different team. But no, I don't think Fizdale...
That's the problem.
I don't think it was far too soon. I don't think he was wrong to bench Gasol. He's the coach. He can bench whoever the hell he wants, whenever the hell he wants.
No.
But I know they can also fire you. So I have no problem with them benching him, no problem with him being fired.
Grizzlies won't be a playoff team, not because of Fizdale. Grizzlies will be a playoff team because ultimately there are much more thoughts within that team. They can get. They've got in Bickerdale, haven't they, to take over?
Yeah. I don't. What, you think they make the playoffs?
No.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, no, me neither.
No. But
Bickerstaff.
But they,
JB Bickerstaff.
I was going to say, would they have anyway?
Yeah, probably not.
No,
probably not.
No. So, looking college basketball.
Yeah. Other people were.
This cracks me up. Alabama finishes the game with 3 players after a brawl in Minnesota. I mean, I watched a little bit of the clip, and it was quite amusing. Was it really a brawl? It just looked like a hangout to me, to be honest. It looked like a gathering, but obviously the whole bench got up. So
that's Thanksgiving turkey fight, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Again, weird scenario you don't see every single day of the week. So they threw the bench out for the incident, but again, okay, fair enough. Then a guy got fouled out.
Yeah.
And then there was an injury.
Got injured, yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So then you're left with 3 players. I think the funniest part of all of this is the fact that then Alabama outscored Minnesota in this scenario. And I was like, well, okay, well then should we just all play 3 on?
I was surprised. They allowed to go 3 on 5. I thought it would just turn into a 3 on 3 maybe or something. But yeah, no, it was funny to see, and it would have been ridiculous if they actually did win the game.
I mean, it was close.
Yeah, it was very close, a lot closer than it should have been. Yeah. No, that was good. That was funny.
I just think it's one of those things. You take a look at it and go, "Did this really happen?" You're sitting there counting the players on the No, there's. It's like on ice hockey when you have like too many men on the ice. No, there's too few players on the court.
Yeah. It did look weird. It did look very weird.
There's been quite a bit of fun, I think, with the college basketball games. Also looking, Davidson, Nevada. So we had Curry and McGee who put a bet together of whose college team was going to win.
That's right.
Nevada came through. So we have delightfully been seeing Curry, he's got to do this 3 times coming onto court wearing a fanny pack, bum bag, whatever you want to call it, wherever you're from.
Carried it well.
Oh, he carried it fantastically.
Yeah, I don't think it was that bad of a look.
I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah,
to be honest, he'll probably end up starting a trend.
Of course.
This is it. So how many more of these are going to sell now? Because
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. He's got his nice little yellow one. Like this is going to catch on.
Yeah.
And I mean, so that was his day. If McGee had lost, then he would have had Curry as a caddy for a couple of games.
Is that?
Yeah.
So I didn't think it was I think
not the worst bet, but hopefully
the
this will start a trend. Because this has been quite amusing, especially people who didn't or weren't aware of the bet going on, and all of a sudden you've got Curry walking on with his nice little yellow fanny pack.
I thought
Can't
it
take
looked
the name
great.
of it serious.
I honestly thought it looked great.
I know what to get you for Christmas.
Yes.
It matched my T-shirt.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Sorted. Perfect. So.
Keep the receipt.
Right.
What for the
so
shirt?
that brings us to the end of our weekly review. So please make sure you hit subscribe so that you get notified as soon as our next show comes on. And click like to let us know you like it. Until then, we will see you next week. See you later.
You gotta keep your eye on the ball, boys. Check out our latest hoops offer. RedZoneSports.bet, the British home of American sports.